Starting a game is a bit like you starting to watch this video. Just in this case, I'm the developer and you're the gamer. I'm the creator and you're the viewer. Some of you are playing this game, watching this video for the first time. You're experiencing me for the first time, the game for the first time. It's my job to make that interesting. It's the developer's job to make the game interesting. It's our jobs to get you in that headspace where you're so focused, so locked in that it feels like you're in the video, you're in the game, and all other senses are just secondary for at least a moment. That idea, that sensation is sort of the crux of this video. That's kind of what got me thinking about wanting to make this video. It's a cool feeling and something that is the reason why we get so excited about starting new games.
Alright, we're back at it again. This time talking about new games and Control.
So this week, I started Control by Remedy for the first time. And it got me thinking about what it's like to start a game for the first time. And man, there's nothing like it. That feeling of awe. Control already seems to be an awesome game. I'm a huge fan of Alan Wake 1, also developed by Remedy. Especially as an author and a horror fan, I just dug it. And Control seems to have that same kind of trippy, immersive, unreliable narrator sort of fourth wall breaking elements to it. As I played, I sort of caught myself and I was kind of feeling that sensation of, whoa, this is so cool. I don't know anything about this world, and I'm letting them just kind of take the reins, take me through it, and I'm trying to learn as I go, but really I know nothing. This is awesome. I'm exploring, I'm learning about myself in the game, learning about the world around me, the story, sort of grasping at straws and shooting in the dark in a really fun way. So here you'll see me walking through the Federal Bureau of Control's building. And this game is called Control, if you don't know, like I was saying. It's one of the trippiest, sort of breaking the fourth wall, interesting games you'll play as far as I can tell so far. The main character, this lady here, often says things like, "I can't believe you told me to do that," as if she's talking to the player and you're trying to figure out that relationship and who she's talking to. Who is this person trying to sort of causing her to make these decisions or giving her these suggestions? Is that me she's talking about? The first thing you see when you walk in or start the game really is her walking into a building and it says the Federal Bureau of Control. The enemies are glowing guards while bodies are floating in the air all around you. All of these messages, stuff like the Federal Bureau of Control, the glowing guards, the floating bodies that look like real people and aren't glowing. They cause us to ask questions and to seek answers. They're sort of prompts. They naturally push the player towards investigation. For instance, I was asking myself questions like, is she talking to me? Is this the FBI in an alternate universe, or is this some commentary on the FBI, changing investigation to Control? Is this some dystopian future that we're living in? Are these real people that I'm shooting down, or are these just glowing, machinations of the mind? Is any of this real? It makes you question all of that.
So I put some sunglasses on. Maybe I am part of the Federal Bureau of Control. You don't know.
And then also randomly, I, as this lady, have these powers, and where's that coming from? It's balancing that line between reality and fiction so well. But Control's doing its own unique thing, of course. There are other games that do other things that don't have to cause you to totally trip out or question reality like Remedy does so well. I remember one of my favorite new game experiences was Prey from Arcane Studios. The atmosphere of that game was insane. It didn't have that same trippy, break down the fourth wall, keep saying that, but just make you trip out experience. It was just such a cool game. You truly feel like you're trapped on a spaceship and something is wrong. There's some sort of alien, sort of Venom, Xenomorph style creature going around, but you don't know much. You just saw something horrific happen and you're on a spaceship. It does something differently from Dead Space too. Dead Space is a pure horror game and there is a lot of immersion in there too. What Prey does is something super interesting to me personally. You walk around an area and after a certain point, after you've left the area, done something, or progressed in the story, you come back and you start to see changes. More aliens, more goo, more danger. And Dead Space has a little bit of that, but for Prey it's just so consistent and the areas don't look horrific at first. They start out pretty idyllic and just a cool looking spaceship, and then you start to see the aliens, these life forms, sort of taking over the area. More aliens, more goo, more danger. And suddenly the area you once considered safe isn't so safe. Or maybe the aliens are taking the shape of an object in the room, so you can't even trust any objects in the room. It's so well done and a novel experience, but it's another really cool new game experience. Or to get out of the horror genre, I can't help but mention Skyrim. The first time I played Skyrim was actually the first time that I wore like a full-on, over-the-ear headset to play a game. And I remember hearing the creaking of the carriage as I was being brought to my death at the hands of the executioner. The deep Nord voice that greeted me. The snowy, cozy, yet unforgiving lands of Skyrim as I entered war-torn land. Hearing that battle music, the Dovahkiin battle music when you start fighting, dragons and so forth. The land was welcoming, but it was also pushing me out, and I got all of that from the sound and the design of Skyrim. And I still, when I think back to starting that game and when I start a new game, I still have some of that feeling begin again. Or for me, I love the Zelda games, so anytime I boot up Ocarina of Time and I'm walking around the Kokiri village, there's just something so special about it. Some of that's nostalgia informed, but it's still starting that new game. It's that feeling of beginning again and knowing what adventure awaits me, but also knowing I might discover something different in this journey, something different than last time. Same thing with Outset Island from Wind Waker. That was one of the coolest experiences for me because I grew up by the sea. So starting out on Outset Island, I think it's such a cool starting hub. Just being able to look across the sea and know what's out there, know there's dangers and cool islands you can explore and dungeons and Ganon somewhere out there, and all of that stuff is just so cool, and it really harbors a sense of desire to explore and be curious in the player. And that's really what makes a good game. A good start to a game, I should say. So what is this feeling? It's definitely special. I had a period where I was part of a meditation group for a while, and this feeling of the mind is so interesting to me. It falls sort of under that umbrella of mindfulness, essentially. And there's a part of me that wants to think I can capture that feeling at any moment of any game. But we can't, that's just the reality of it. There's something special about when your mind settles into the game, though. And there are moments where even beyond just that starting total full immersion of beginning a game, where you can kind of come back to that point and feel those sensations again and really think, holy cow, this is awesome that I'm exploring this world. I had a lot of moments like that in Breath of the Wild, where first time you walk out onto the Great Plateau, I've talked about that before, that is an awesome experience. And what they do is have a lot of viewpoints like that throughout the world, where you kind of are forced to step back because it's so beautiful or something so epic is happening. You kind of feel that sense of starting anew. Your interest is renewed, your curiosity is renewed. You see this really large mountain in the background, or something really cool just happened, or someone gave you a cool hint as to an item you can grab. And you kind of think, holy cow, let's start again. New quest, I'm fully immersed again, they brought me back. Now, I'm no full expert at this, of course. If I was, I would have the perfect video that never lost anyone's interest, and I'd be a master at that. I'd be a master storyteller, and obviously we're all getting better at that, and no game is perfect at that either, so it's a really interesting thing to explore because it's sort of the crux of what maintains our interest as viewers and players. To go back to Alan Wake 1, that game doesn't give you a choice at being immersed, which is a good thing. You almost immediately run someone over, and that's it, you're in it. They reanimate, and you realize what kind of a horror hellscape you're really in. You sort of think you're in just a regular old zombie game, maybe at first, and it gets crazy fast. You're being chased towards a lighthouse, and then the lighthouse keeper gets wrecked, and it's just wild. Then suddenly you're peacefully on a boat with your wife, and nothing's wrong, it's great. But you, as Alan Wake in that moment, just like he probably is in the game, you're not really on that boat with your wife. You're back at the beginning thinking about what the heck just happened and how is that going to rear its ugly head again. They've put you in his shoes. They've got you thinking like Alan Wake. And it's really well done, and it's just allowing you to have that experience of starting a new game and becoming the actual character in the game. And it's the beauty of it. That's just the beauty of it. Yeah, that phenomenon's just a special thing. It's why as I near a game's end, I find myself looking ahead rather than enjoying the ending. I don't want to do that. Maybe that's just me, but I catch myself doing that more often than I'd like. It just seems like as I near the end of a game, especially a longer one, like, say, Metaphor ReFantazio, I find myself looking ahead, getting ready for the next adventure. And I have to catch myself. Part of that is the natural desire for that dopamine hit, which is when I tell my body to chill out, don't need that. But the other part of it, is just immersing oneself in a new world, and grabbing your first sword or your first magic spell, developing your class. It's that immersion that's only possible when the game first gives you control of the character. That's what we're talking about. That's the good stuff. And of course we find ourselves doing this in our daily lives. So let's say it's Friday. By the time it gets to, let's say you work a 9 to 5, by the time it gets to 3 o'clock on Friday, you're not thinking about 3 o'clock on Friday. You're thinking about 5:01 on Friday. Or Saturday. You're not focused on the moment, and that's totally okay. But you want to get on to the next adventure. And it's not the perfect analogy because not all game endings are going to be as dreadful as your work week. And most of them aren't even dreadful at all. You just want to get to the next experience, but it's a similar sensation. Now, as I play Control, I'm experiencing these same things. I'm nowhere near the ending, but I'm experiencing the beginning again. Maintaining that level of interest and how they're managing to keep me in that state, because the onus isn't necessarily upon me. It's also upon them to keep my interest. It's, if anything, more on them to keep renewing that, to keep feeling like, holy cow, I'm back here, I'm back in the world. They brought me back as if I was beginning again, as if I was starting the game over because this quest is so awesome, because this weapon I just got is so awesome. And that's what Dark Souls does really well. It's what keeps it so interesting. It's the dopamine hits. It's, holy cow, I just got a really cool weapon. Now I can kind of begin again. I essentially have a new character now that I have a new weapon to spec around, to fight with, a whole new moveset. Same thing with the bosses. Whole new boss to learn, or maybe it's a whole new area. There's just so many ways to replay, to begin again. That's what's so special about it. Really, to me, this is the beauty of gaming, and something we can all look toward as gamers and enjoy. Focusing on how to maintain that feeling and the awe that starting up a game for the first time makes us feel. Like I said, it's more on them to allow us to maintain that feeling, but there are times where we just kind of become complacent. I'm tempted to watch a video while I'm playing a game, and I'll kind of catch myself and be like, why am I doing this? Why don't I try to tune back into the game? Especially if it's a story-based game. If it's a multiplayer game, alright, I totally get that. It's super chill to just play some multiplayer game and just watch a video or listen to a podcast, audiobook, or something chill like Power Wash Simulator. I totally understand that. Primarily I'm talking about the story-driven, primarily single-player games. But what it really is a question of how many times can we start over? How many times can we reset? How many times can they cause us to start over, to reset, to enter the game again? That potential is always there. It's a lesson that starting a new game teaches us, and can teach the developers of the games. It teaches us how to enjoy the experience, and what's so special about it in the first place. That's what it's like to start a new game again.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. And goodbye.